are maybe aren't underrepresented and are used to being surrounded by people just like them.
Hello and welcome to our Meet the Coach series. I'm your host, Carla Egan, and today we're talking to a transformational and a leadership coach that's on a quest to accelerate women and people from marginalised communities into more decision-making roles. She's the founder of Lifecraft Coaching, has a ton of coaching and trainer qualifications, and she's here to share her mission to empower women and those that are underrepresented. Our guest today is Tracy Gandu, and she joins me today from Sydney, New South Wales. Welcome, Tracy.
Thank you, Carla. Thank you for that lovely welcome and introduction. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Yeah, thank you. And it's a pleasure to have you on our Meet the Coach series. Now, as a coach, your passion and your focus centres around gender equality, inclusion and diversity. What led you to this, Tracy?
Well, growing up as a minority in a town that was primarily white, that's where I grew up. And my experiences, I did experience quite a bit of racism and bullying, but it's not only myself. Also, I have mixed parents, so I would see the differences in how they were treated. Fast forward years and years, say 10 years ago, I'm working in corporate world, and I decided to move to Australia. And then I'm faced with all the issues, a new set of issues, where I'm exposed to the Indigenous community and their situation and what happens here. But what really led me to be so passionate about this topic, I guess, is because of my own lived experiences. And when I became a coach, I actually didn't settle on that idea of focusing so much on gender equality and inclusivity. It was later when I thought about what am I really passionate about? And that was definitely something I realized I had a lot of experience with, a lot of learned experiences, a lot of shared experiences. And I could relate to those feelings of feeling undervalued, not seen, not heard, and these common problems faced by many underrepresented. And then also the fact is that we live in a world where the word underrepresented is relevant because it's referring to very few people of colour or LGBTQI or women being in positions of making decisions, whether that's governments, on boards. So I think there's two parts to that. It's how our lived experiences make us feel we can achieve something or believe in ourselves. And it's also the other side when, for example, you have people that are maybe aren't underrepresented and are used to being surrounded by people just like them. And so that's more comfortable. And then you tend to kind of hire based on that, or you have an affinity for people based on that. And so that leaves out the other people where you may not feel as connected with, to miss out on opportunities.
I like your focus on this area because there is a challenge in the workplace, but I don't see very many coaches that are focused specifically in this area. Let's talk about discrimination for a moment because it comes in various forms. What are some of the unconscious biases that you've come across, or perhaps your clients have experienced or come across themselves, Tracy?
Good question again. Well, there's, like I said, there's a variety of ones. Ones that I just even touched on that many people may not be so familiar with is that affinity bias. And we all have it. I have it. And it means that you're more drawn to people. You feel more connected to people that are more like yourself. And so what that means in in a workplace situation, especially in a hiring situation where you might be interviewing people, is that you comparing two people that are the same, or even someone that may be more qualified that may be a minority. If they're not like you, you'd be more drawn to the other person, and you wouldn't even realize that that's happening. And this is why we see a lot of the same type of people in boards. So that's one type of bias. And then others that I see, like my clients would experience, and particularly women, well, mostly women only really, is the maternal bias. There's assumptions that you definitely want to have kids and start a family, or you're in an age where you will, and so that means you may not want this opportunity, or you won't get offered these opportunities of projects or roles that you may be really, really interested in. And what I tell clients that where that bias could exist for them is I tell them to open the conversation, make it clear what your ambitions are. And even if you do want to have children, make it clear how you'd like that to fit into how you work, how you'd like that to fit into your plan for your career. And that's what I suggest, that's the advice I give. Although I do think it's not really your responsibility to have to put that out there to kind of mitigate that type of bias. I think you have to meet people halfway, because we have these social norms that exist in our society, and we can't just ignore the fact that they're there or they exist.
So Tracy, based on that, for people that are listening, that are watching us, nodding their head to say, yes, I've had that bias. I've had those thoughts when I've been recruiting, when I've been considering team members. What's one way that we can, as leaders, as employees, as human beings in our community, contribute to a more creative and inclusive community, workforce, world? What's one way that we could do that they could practically put into place potentially today?
Oh, it's today. Wow. Well, I always say encourage curiosity. So again, with the whole liking people more like yourself, I would say strike up a conversation with somebody that's different from you in the coffee shop, or wherever you might be, at the gym. Just start with a hello. I would say invite opportunity to know more about people that are different from you. It doesn't mean to say you have to be best friends, but what it does is it opens up conversation and it brings more awareness into people's differences, and that makes it less of an uncomfortable feeling when you are dealing with people from different backgrounds and different cultures to yourself. It becomes more comfortable and more acceptable, and then you find that ripples into different parts of your life, and that could be at work as well.
I love the curiosity, because it does open up your mind to possibilities and to different perceptions and less judgment, which will get rid of some of those unconscious biases we talked about and you alluded to earlier. Tracy, as a coach yourself, as a speaker and a podcast extraordinaire yourself, what does it mean for you and your business joining the coaching directory?
Wow, it's a brilliant opportunity to reach the people that I want to work with. I get to showcase what I do, what I'm about, what I believe in, what I'm passionate about, and make sure that the message is heard by those who are also passionate about gender equality and diversity. And for those who may be stuck or need to overcome some challenges in that space, especially if they find themselves not moving to where they want to be in their life, in their career, or even in their relationships. So for me, this is a fantastic opportunity to showcase exactly what I do and who I want to work with, and for people to find me.
Wonderful. Well, we're delighted to have you on, and it's so great to interview you and find out a bit more about what you do. This brings us to the end of our Meet the Coach interview. Thank you, Tracy, for sharing your passion, your mission, your quest to support a more diverse and inclusive workforce.
Thank you, Carla. Thank you for the time.
Yes, and likewise. And thank you to our listeners for joining us and following our Meet the Coach series. If you enjoy our show, please rate and review us, and be sure to catch us in the next episode. This is Carla Egan from the Coaching Directory, where we connect you to your ideal coach.